Chapter 4, Lesson 2, Daily Life in the Colonies. There we go. There he is. Why he's so blurry. Morris, you gonna listen to me read? Huh? You gonna listen? Okay, you be a good boy. Stay up there. Okay. Here we go. Follow along in your book. Today you can shop at a mall or use the internet to shop online. In colonial America, people did not have such choices. How did colonists earn a living? How did they feed and clothe their families? What did they do to try to improve their lives? We're going to find out. Colonies and resources. People in different colonies hold different answers for those questions. The land, climate, and natural resources differed from one colony to another. Most colonial American families lived and worked on farms. They grew or made much of what they needed. They sold crops and products to pay for other necessities, such as tools, salt, and gunpowder. They also bartered with neighbors for some needs. Barter means to trade one good for another. Other colonists worked in jobs related to their colony's location, land, or resources. Along the New England coast, many earned their living from the sea. And I like this map with this key. It shows you the colonies and the products that were produced in those colonies. So pretty interesting there. All right. New England industries sprang up to take advantage of the ocean's resources. Anglers caught and sold fish such as cod. Whalers hunted whales to make products such as lamp oil, candles, and perfume. Ooh, interesting. Oil, perfume. Shipbuilders used the region's timber to build boats for fishing and ships for whaling. In the middle colonies, the region's sheltered harbors and deep rivers allowed ships to travel regularly over the waters and trade to thrive. Many colonists in cities such as New York and Philadelphia worked as merchants and traders. Others worked as sailors or dock workers, people who loaded and unloaded ships. People also changed the land to suit their needs. For example, some colonists dammed or blocked rivers and streams to create power from fast-flowing water. Millers often set up their businesses next to the river or stream. They used the water power for their grits mills. These were machines for grinding wheat into flour. The flowing water turned a water wheel, and the moving wheel turned the grinding stones inside the meal to crush the wheat. Okay. Oh, he's still there. Hey, Morris. Hey. Oh, he winked. He's being lazy. He's supposed to be on that blanket, and when I walked away, he climbed over here. Naughty man. Naughty man. He's got hair on everything. All right, on we go. Imports and exports. American colonists traded goods among themselves. They also carried on trade with other countries, selling exports and buying imports. An export is a product sold to other countries. It exits your country to another country. An import is a product brought from other countries in to the country you live in. Import, in, export, out. Over time, England took steps to control colonial trade. The colonies provided England with raw materials or resources that can be made into products, such as timber for making furniture. The English wanted colonists to buy manufactured goods, such as furniture and pottery, from England alone. In fact, England passed laws limiting colonists' trade with other countries. The English government did this to protect its own industries. This practice is known as protectionism. As a result, colonists had to rely on England for many items only. Such restrictions angered many colonists. They felt that these laws showed that England would treat the colonists unfairly to increase their profits from trade. These trade laws were based on England's belief in the economic policy of mercantilism. Okay, next page. Here we go. Mercantilism was an economic idea popular in the 1600s and 1700s. People who supported this idea thought that countries benefited from trade when they exported more than they imported. So meaning they sent it out, sold more than they bought, so they could make more money. In this way, a country earned more money from products it sold to other countries than it spent on products brought from other countries. Over time, colonial trade took on a pattern known as the triangular trade. Triangular means three-sided. Triangular trade had three parts. Ships sailed to Africa, the Americas, and Europe. So those are your three stops. Some carried enslaved Africans to the West Indies and then to the English colonies. Ships from the colonies took fish, lumber, and tobacco to Europe. Tools, tea, and manufactured goods came from England. On both sides of the Atlantic, merchants and traders grew rich. So everybody's benefiting from it. And you can see that map of what is being, so the purple kind of shows what's coming in and leaving Europe. Okay, the orange is what left America. And you can see what came from Africa to the West Indies. Okay, on we go. All righty. Okay. Artisans and craftspeople. By the 1700s, Philadelphia, New York, Boston, and Charleston had grown into large cities and trading centers. People from the countryside brought goods to sell in these cities. Imports arrived from other countries. Merchants bought and sold these goods. As people grew rich from this trade, cities became centers of wealth. In the countryside, people tended to do many different tasks. In the towns and cities, however, workers could specialize in one type of work or a trade. These were artisans, or skilled workers or craftspeople, such as blacksmiths, carpenters, wig makers, basket makers, and tinsmiths. Working in a market economy, artisans could make their living by producing the goods people in their town wanted to buy. Some colonial cities grew large enough to support artisans who made luxury goods, such as watchmakers and silversmiths. Colonial society. Europeans in colonial society belonged to certain classes or society groups based on their wealth or importance. The highest class was known as the gentry. It included wealthy landowners and merchants as well as church officials. Often government and community leaders came from this group. The largest number of colonists belonged to the middle class. This class included small farmers, shopkeepers, and village artisans. These people were not rich, but they earned a living. They had little left over after meeting their basic needs. Most middle-class men were able to vote. The lower class consisted of ordinary workers and servants. This group of people did not own property or businesses. Unlike today, in colonial times, lower class members were not allowed to vote. Today, anybody can vote if you're over 18. A worker on a fishing boat or a farm would belong to this class. So would an indentured servant or an apprentice. Indentured servants worked without pay for a period of time in return for food, clothes, and transportation. Enslaved people were considered lower than these three classes of society. In colonial life, class was important. Even at worship services, people usually sat according to their class. It was possible, however, for a hard-working person to move up in class. Okay, just about done. Let's take a check. See what he's... Oh, now he's head down sleeping. Morris! No, we'll check on him when we're done. We'll go over there. See ya. Alrighty. Daily life in the colonies. Work, of course, was a big part of daily life. Chores at home took a lot of time and skilled effort. Women made clothing, candles, and other household items. They grew, preserved, and prepared food. Most women cared for children. This could be a big challenge in families with more than a dozen children. I cannot imagine having 12 children. Most children also had to do work, starting at an early age. The chores became more demanding as the children grew older. Many children were sent away at age 12 to begin training in a trade. When they did have time for fun, children played with simple toys. These included metal hoops from barrels, dolls made of corn husks, or tops made from scraps of wood and string. Children sometimes made work into a game. They might hold a contest to see who could carry the most wood or husk corn the fastest. Some children did go to school. Most New England towns were required to have schools. There were schools in some other colonies too. Sometimes children were given lessons at home. Most children did not have a full education, however. By the time they were teenagers, they usually worked full-time. Only a few young people went to college. And this is kind of neat. Here, colonial children of all ages often attended school together, sometimes in one large room. They learned to read from pages placed on a wooden tablet and covered with a clear sheet of animal horn, and these are called horn books. All right, last page. Religion was always important to colonial life. In the 1730s, however, an event called the Great Awakening took religious interest to a new level. Preachers traveled from town to town giving fiery talks that inspired listeners. Large crowds of worshipers would gather for these talks. The Great Awakening helped spread religious feelings. At the same time, it weakened the power of the church leaders who had previously directed life in some colonies. The movement stressed that people should develop their own connection to God. They did not have to rely upon a church leader to tell them how to live or worship. During the Great Awakening, ministers such as George Whitefield inspired churchgoers to stronger religious beliefs. Okay, we'll check in on Morris, and then I want you guys to come get the written assignment that goes with this. Nice work. Hey, Morris, do you want a close-up? Come here, buddy. Oh, hey. Hey. Buds. Oh, he's purring. Pretty close, huh? All right, guys. All right. Bye, Morris. Say goodbye.